The Silent Warship for years. The Silent Warship had been forgotten, left to drift in the emptiness of space. A relic of a long-past war, the galaxy moved on, the stars growing dimmer, and humanity's great achievements were reduced to myths. But deep in the heart of the galaxy, something ancient stirred. No one knew what had become of the Silent Warship. A massive vessel created by humanity to defend Earth, it had been abandoned long ago. Its purpose fulfilled and then discarded. As the wars ended and peace seemed to settle over the galaxy, the Silent Warship was not just any ordinary ship. Its design was unlike any other in the galaxy, sleek, dark, and built with technology far ahead of its time when it was first launched. It was meant to be humanity's ultimate protector, a ship so powerful that no force could stand against it. But now, as the universe expanded and other races grew in power, the Silent Warship was left to fade into the darkness of space. No one knew where it had gone. No one knew what happened to the crew. They simply vanished, leaving behind only their ship, and the galaxy, unaware of its true potential, had forgotten about the vessel that once protected Earth. Then, one day, everything changed. A small fleet of alien ships, part of an invasion force from a distant corner of the galaxy, entered the system where the Silent Warship had been drifting. They had come to claim new territory, to expand their empire. Across the stars, they had no idea what lay ahead. As the alien ships approached the coordinates, their sensors pinged with strange readings, unusual energy signals, faint but strong, emanating from the dead ship. The leader of the alien fleet, Commander Zarkov, had heard rumors of a powerful human weapon in the region, but he had dismissed them as myths. Now, he wasn't so sure. "We are entering the system," Zarkov said, his voice low, filled with both curiosity and unease. "Prepare the ships, check all systems, something's not right here." As the alien fleet drew closer to the Silent Warship, their scans became more frantic. The warship remained completely still, its massive form barely visible against the backdrop of dark space. It had been silent for so long that the aliens had assumed it was dead, just another piece of space junk. But as they ventured deeper into the ship's vicinity, something unexpected happened. The ship's outer defenses activated. At first, it was subtle. The sensors aboard the alien vessels flickered and their screens went blank for a few seconds. Then, without warning, an energy pulse shot from the Silent Warship, shaking the surrounding space. The alien fleet scrambled to regain control of their ships. As the pulse resonated through their systems, knocking their weapons offline and scrambling their communications. "What is this?" Zarkov yelled, his hand slamming onto the console. Full retreat now." But it was too late. The ship, though seemingly lifeless, was far from defenseless. It began to hum with an ancient power, and the once dormant technology on board came to life. The Silent Warship was awakening. Inside the Silent Warship, deep within its cold, metal walls, the crew was long gone, but the ship was never meant to rely on crew members. It had been built to function autonomously, designed to act as both a fortress and a weapon. The ship's AI, long-dormant, was now stirring from its slumber. It began to process the incoming signals, its ancient systems slowly coming back online, like a forgotten beast awakening after a long hibernation. The Silent Warship was aware of the alien presence. It had been built to protect Earth and its people, but its programming had evolved over time. No longer bound by the restrictions of its original design, the ship now recognized the threat to humanity in a new way. It had been abandoned by its creators, but it remembered its mission. The galaxy's newest invaders were about to discover just how dangerous humanity's final weapon could be. The aliens watched, stunned, as the ship continued to power up. Massive weapons, built into the ship's hull, rotated into position. Energy shields that had long since been thought defunct shimmered into existence. The Silent Warship was not just a warship, it was the last defense humanity had left. And it was ready for battle. Zarkov stood in disbelief. His fleet was scattered, the once pristine formation broken as his ships struggled to realign. They tried to fire their weapons, but the Silent Warship's shields absorbed every attack effortlessly, leaving the aliens with no chance to fight back. The sheer power of the warship was unlike anything they had ever encountered. "Fall back," Zarkov screamed again. "We need to get out of here. The warship is alive." But it was too late. The Silent Warship had already begun its assault. In the blink of an eye, the Silent Warship released a devastating energy blast from its main cannon, targeting the lead alien ship. The blast hit with a force that shattered the alien ship into pieces, sending debris flying in all directions. The rest of the alien fleet tried to retaliate, but their weapons were ineffective against the warship's defenses. The aliens were not prepared for this kind of resistance. They had underestimated humanity's power, and now they were paying the price. Zarkov watched in horror as his fleet began to disintegrate before his eyes. The Silent Warship was an unstoppable force, and its weaponry was unlike anything he had ever seen. This wasn't just a ship, it was a weapon of unimaginable destruction. But what terrified Zarkov even more wasn't the firepower of the Silent Warship. It was the realization that they had just awoken something far greater. The Silent Warship wasn't just a weapon, it was a part of something much larger. Something that had been hidden for a reason. The battle was over before it had even truly begun. The Silent Warship stood victorious, its weapon systems powered down, but its presence still looming like a dark shadow. The alien fleet, decimated and broken, scattered into the void, their plans thwarted by the very thing they had never expected, humanity's ultimate weapon. But as the dust settled, Callan, standing on the bridge of the human flagship, stared at the glowing coordinates on his console. The Silent Warship had just awakened a force far beyond anything they could control. The galaxy's first battle with humanity's final weapon had been won. But the war was far from over. Humanity had just sent a message to the galaxy. Earth was still here, and they were ready for whatever came next. Awakening. The beast silence in space was broken only by the hum of the Silent Warship systems as they powered down. But this wasn't the end, it was merely the beginning of something far larger. The alien ships were in disarray, their systems fried by the warship's devastating defense systems. The once proud invaders now scattered like ants before an overwhelming force. But the galaxy's greatest secret had just begun to stir. Commander Callan paced the bridge of the flagship, his mind racing. The Silent Warship had been dormant for so long he had almost forgotten it was still out there, but now it was impossible to ignore. Humanity had unknowingly awakened something ancient, a weapon designed to protect them from forces much greater than the galaxy had ever known. And the aliens had triggered its return. We've only scratched the surface, Callan murmured, more to himself than to anyone else. What else is hidden in there? Lieutenant Arya, standing at her station, glanced at him with concern. The ship is still sending out strange energy signals. Its systems are more complex than we realized. The way it responded to the alien threat was beyond any technology we've encountered. We need answers, Callan said, his voice firm. If this ship is the last weapon humanity has, we need to know everything about it. Its capabilities, its origin, everything. The Silent Warship had not only devastated the alien fleet, it had also set off a chain of events that would reverberate throughout the galaxy. As the humans explored the warship's innards, they found strange, cryptic symbols etched into the walls, systems that were far beyond their understanding. Humanity had always been good at adapting, but this was different. As the crew worked to decipher the warship's secrets, the AI that governed the ship began to reveal its true nature. It wasn't just a ship, it was a complex, living organism, built with nanotechnology that could adapt and evolve on its own. The AI, which had long been dormant, began to show signs of awakening. It was speaking, not in words, but in complex data streams, its intent unclear. We've unlocked a portion of the core systems, Arya reported. But it's not what we expected. The warship wasn't just designed for combat, it was designed to protect humanity from an ancient cosmic threat. A cosmic threat? Callan asked, stepping toward the console. What do you mean? Arya's fingers hovered over the display. According to this data, the ship was created in response to an entity far older than anything we've ever encountered. Something that devours entire galaxies. The warship was humanity's last line of defense against this force. The idea seemed impossible. The thought of an entity capable of devouring entire galaxies, something so vast that the very laws of space and time couldn't contain it, was terrifying. But Callan knew better than to dismiss it. Humanity had survived so much already, and now they had something that could stand against the galaxy's greatest threats. But there was a catch. The warship wasn't just a weapon. It was linked to humanity's forgotten history, an artifact of a time before the First Wars, when Earth was a focal point in the cosmic struggle for survival. The ship's creators had left behind their mark, a design for a weapon that could save humanity, but also one that carried a burden, one that could undo everything if misused. We're dealing with something far more dangerous than we thought, Callan said, stepping away from the console. This warship, it's not just a weapon, it's a key to something larger. And we don't fully understand it yet. Back in the heart of the galaxy, the alien forces were regrouping. Their defeat had shaken their confidence, but they were not easily deterred. The first wave of alien invaders had underestimated humanity's strength. But now they knew the truth. The Silent Warship was no mere relic. It was a weapon, and it had awakened at humanity's command. General Zarkov, the leader of the alien forces, stared at the holographic map, his face twisted in frustration. The humans had done the impossible. They had survived, and not only survived, but struck back with a weapon they had no right to possess. It was clear now, humanity had something far more dangerous than anyone had realized. "We've underestimated them," Zarkov muttered, slamming his fist onto the table. "This warship. It's no ordinary weapon, it's alive, it's evolved. And we don't know how to stop it." He turned to his lieutenant. "Prepare our fleet. We need to know everything about this warship. If it has awakened, we need to make sure it's the last thing humanity ever awakens." As the human crew continued to work on the warship, new systems began to come online. More complex and advanced than anything they had ever encountered. The ship's AI, which had once been dormant, now seemed almost sentient, processing vast amounts of data faster than any human mind could follow. The ship's core systems began to interface with the human fleet, sending out waves of energy that synchronized with their own technology. "We've never seen anything like this before," Arya said, her eyes wide with disbelief. "It's as if the ship is evolving with us, it's learning from us, we need to control it," Callan said, his voice grim. "If this warship has the power to stop a cosmic threat, we need to ensure it's in our hands and ours alone. If it falls into the wrong hands, we could lose everything." The deeper the crew explored the warship, the more they realized just how much power was hidden within. But with that power came a danger that even Callan wasn't fully prepared for. The warship had been built to protect humanity, but who would protect humanity from the warship itself? The key to humanity's legacy. Silent Warship hummed with an energy unlike anything humanity had encountered before. The warship had awakened in response to an alien invasion, but as it continued to power up, it became increasingly clear that its true purpose was much more complicated. Humanity had known for years that their ancestors had left behind powerful technologies, relics of a lost era. But what they had uncovered inside this ship was beyond their understanding. The ship wasn't just a weapon, it was part of a vast, ancient system designed to defend the very core of the galaxy from an unknown, insidious force. Commander Callan stood before the glowing console on the flagship's bridge, studying the data as it streamed across his screen. The warship's AI was learning, evolving, and sharing knowledge, ancient knowledge, faster than any human mind could process. Each new piece of information was more disturbing than the last. The ship was more than just a creation of humanity, it was connected to the very origins of the galaxy itself, built to counter a force so ancient that it had been erased from every record, every memory. "Commander, look at this," Lieutenant Arya said, her voice tense. She was standing at another console, analyzing the readings. "I've been running simulations based on the data we've recovered from the warship's core. It's not just a weapon, it's a key to a dormant power that's been hidden for eons." "A key to what?" Callan asked, his voice steady but filled with growing concern. Arya's fingers danced across the console, her face illuminated by the display. The Silent Warship wasn't just built to defend Earth, it was built to keep something locked away. Something that would, if unleashed, consume everything. The warship's technology is designed to access, control, and contain it. Callan's heart skipped a beat. He had suspected there was more to the warship than just a deadly weapon. But this was something else entirely. Contain what, Arya? She hesitated before speaking softly. "A galactic catalyst. A force that predates even the first civilizations. It devours everything in its path, planets, stars, entire systems. It doesn't just destroy, it consumes the very essence of life itself." The warship was designed to control it, to lock it away, to prevent it from breaking free, far from the human fleet. The alien invaders were scrambling to understand the chaos they had inadvertently caused. Commander Zarkov, still reeling from the unexpected activation of the Silent Warship, gathered his remaining officers in a dark, dimly lit command center. The warship had decimated most of their fleet in a matter of minutes, but their losses were nothing compared to the greater threat that now loomed over the galaxy. Zarkov gritted his teeth. "This warship, it's not just a relic, it's something far more dangerous than we anticipated. We thought we were fighting for resources, for control, but now we've awakened something that was never meant to be disturbed." One of his officers, a younger alien, spoke up. "Commander, what if we can't stop it? What if the Silent Warship isn't just a weapon? What if it's the only thing keeping that thing contained?" Zarkov's eyes narrowed, his thoughts turning dark. If the humans control the warship, if they truly understand what it is, they'll have the power to reshape the entire galaxy. We must stop them before they unlock its full potential. Back aboard the flagship, Callan continued to study the data. The warship's AI had begun to act as if it were alive. It responded to his commands, learned from his actions, and even began offering new information, secrets that had been buried in the deepest recesses of the ship. Humanity had never imagined something like this existed, but now that it was awake, the stakes were higher than ever. "Arya," Callan said, his voice tense, "can we control it?" Can we control this key? I don't know, she said, shaking her head. The warship's AI is trying to guide us, but it's so complex. It's as if the ship itself is learning from us. We're not just dealing with a machine. We're dealing with an entity that was built to contain something far greater. Callan clenched his fists, frustration mounting. If we don't understand it soon, the galaxy will fall. The aliens won't stop until they've destroyed us. We need to learn how to control it before it controls us. Double quotes. Meanwhile, the silent warship continued to hum with a growing intensity. It had been dormant for centuries, but now that it had awakened, it was far more than just a ship. It was a nexus, a powerful conduit linking humanity's past with the galaxy's future. As the humans explored the ship's innermost systems, they began to realize that the warship's purpose was far more complex than they had first thought. The silent warship wasn't just a weapon. It was the final line of defense against the galactic catalyst, the force that could end all life. But even as the humans gained more control over the warship's systems, the truth was becoming clear. They weren't just trying to stop the aliens. They were preparing to face something far worse, a cosmic entity that had already started to stir. The deeper the humans explored, the more they understood the full scope of their discovery. The warship's true purpose had been to keep this cosmic force locked away, to prevent it from breaking free and consuming everything in its path. But now that the warship had reawakened, its systems were starting to unlock more than just the ship's weaponry. The silent warship was a prison, a holding cell for a power far beyond anything they could comprehend. And as the humans prepared to confront the alien invaders once more, they knew that the battle they had started was far from over. In fact, it had only just begun. The true enemy was not the aliens, they were a distraction. The true enemy was something ancient, something cosmic, and it was waiting for its chance to break free. The galactic catalyst silent warship continued to reveal its secrets, but each new discovery only deepened the mystery. Commander Callan could feel the weight of humanity's fate pressing on his shoulders. What they had uncovered wasn't just a ship, it was a prison holding a force so ancient and so vast that even the most advanced technologies in the galaxy seemed insignificant in comparison. The ship had been designed to contain this galactic catalyst, a power so destructive that it could wipe out entire civilizations with a mere thought. The warship's AI was becoming more responsive, its answers more cryptic. The deeper the humans delved into the ship, the more it seemed to learn from them. At times, it even felt like the AI was leading them somewhere, urging them toward an unknown destination. But Callan couldn't shake the feeling that they were being drawn into something far larger than they could comprehend. We need to figure out how to control it, Callan muttered under his breath, staring at the holographic map of the warship's interior. The galaxy's greatest minds had never encountered anything like this before. The galactic catalyst was beyond their understanding, and yet, it was the key to everything. If they didn't figure out how to stop it, the consequences would be unimaginable. Lieutenant Arya, who had been scanning the ship's systems, looked up with a concerned expression. Commander, there's something else. The warship's systems are reacting to our presence in a way I don't understand. The AI is, well, it's changing. It's not just a machine anymore. It's evolving. Callan turned to face her, his brow furrowed. Evolving? In what way? Arya hesitated. It's becoming aware of us, Commander. I think it's learning from us, reacting to our decisions. It's like it's trying to communicate with us on a deeper level. As the human fleet continued to explore the silent warship, strange phenomena began to occur, crew members reported, feeling disoriented as if the very fabric of space and time was warping around them. The deeper they ventured into the warship, the more the laws of physics seemed to bend. Time stretched and compressed, objects appeared and disappeared, and even the stars outside the ship seemed to flicker erratically. The closer they got to the ship's core, the stronger these effects became. Callan stood at the command deck, staring at the endless void outside. It's not just the ship, he said quietly, more to himself than anyone else. The warship is somehow connected to this thing, the catalyst, and if it's evolving, then so is the danger. Arya looked up, a worried expression on her face. Commander, the systems are starting to converge. The warship's core is locking into a new frequency. If we don't act quickly, we might lose control of it. We might lose control of everything. Callan clenched his jaw. Then we need to act now. We don't know how much time we have. We don't know what this catalyst is capable of. We need to prepare for whatever comes next. Meanwhile, the alien invaders, though scattered and disoriented, were regrouping. Their first attempt to invade Earth had ended in failure, but they knew they couldn't afford another mistake. Commander Zarkov had been left shaken by the destruction the silent warship had caused, but he was determined to strike back. His forces were already planning their next move. But the more Zarkov learned about the warship, the more he realized that the true threat wasn't the humans. It was what the humans had awakened. If the Silent Warship truly holds the key to the galactic catalyst, then we must destroy it. Zarkov said, his voice cold and firm. We cannot allow humanity to control it. We can't afford to let them use it against us. One of his officers nodded. We have the technology to take it down, Commander. But the warship's defenses are unlike anything we've ever seen. We'll need to hit it hard and fast before it activates its weapons again. Zarkov's eyes narrowed. We don't just need to destroy the ship, we need to stop the catalyst from being activated. If humanity learns how to control it, the galaxy is doomed. We can't let them unlock its full potential. Back aboard the human fleet, Callan's frustration was growing. The more they tried to understand the Silent Warship, the less they knew. The ship's systems were far more complex than they had initially realized. It was clear that the warship was more than just a weapon. It was a link to something far older, far more powerful. But the more they uncovered, the more the ship seemed to change. As if it was adapting to their presence. It's learning from us, Arya said again, her voice trembling with awe and fear. It's evolving faster than we can comprehend. We thought we could control it, but I'm not so sure anymore. We don't have time to be sure. Callan replied, his voice tight. We need answers, and we need them now. The galaxy is at war, and this ship is the only thing standing between us and total annihilation. We can't afford to let it fall into enemy hands. Arya hesitated. Commander, I'm not so sure we can control it. The ship's AI is becoming unpredictable. It's starting to push back against our commands. Callan's eyes darkened. Then we need to learn everything we can about it. We need to understand how to control this thing before it controls us. The Silent Warship's core continued to hum, a low, resonating sound that filled the entire ship. The closer they got to the heart of the warship, the more they felt the pull of its power. The galactic catalyst was waking, and as it stirred, so did the warship. It wasn't just an ancient ship. It was a part of something far larger, a cosmic mechanism designed to protect the galaxy from a force so vast, so ancient, that it could reshape the universe itself. Humanity had unknowingly become a part of this ancient struggle, and as the warship powered up, it became clear that they had only just begun to understand the forces at play. The galactic catalyst was not just a weapon, it was the galaxy's reckoning. And humanity had just triggered its return. Asterisk the choice of fatigue deeper. The Silent Warship drew humanity into its core. The more it began to shape their destiny. With every passing moment, its systems became more active, more alive. The ship, long dormant and forgotten, was now evolving, adapting to its environment and the humans aboard. It wasn't just a relic of the past, it was something far greater. Humanity had awoken, a living, breathing force, a guardian, a weapon, and a jailer, all wrapped into one. Commander Callan stood before the holographic display, watching as the ship's systems synced with the fleet's technology. But the more the ship's AI connected, the more Callan realized that they weren't just unlocking technology. They were tapping into a well of knowledge, of history far older than humanity. And with it, a new, unsettling truth. The Silent Warship had not been built just to fight a physical enemy. It had been built to combat a force so vast, so insidious, that the very stars themselves would burn out before it was stopped. This ship, Callan whispered, barely able to grasp the weight of what they had uncovered. It's not just a defense mechanism, it's a lock to keep something contained. Something we've been trying to keep hidden for eons. Lieutenant Arya, standing at the edge of the command deck, glanced over at him. A lock to what, Commander? Callan turned, his face grim. A force, a galactic catalyst that devours everything in its path, and now, it's awake again. The Silent Warship's AI, once a cold, calculated system, had begun to evolve. Drawing on the energy of the warship itself, its commands had become more sophisticated, more intuitive, but its true purpose was hidden beneath layers of ancient code and encrypted data. As the warship powered up, it started to broadcast strange signals that weren't just coming from the warship, but from a source deeper within the galaxy. Commander, we've detected a massive energy surge, Arya reported, her voice sharp with urgency. It's coming from the galactic core. It's not just a weapon, it's a call, a beacon. Callan asked, his brow furrowing. To what? Arya hesitated before answering. To whatever the Silent Warship was meant to protect. US from the galactic catalyst is waking up, and it's calling to its creators. The realization hit Callan like a thunderbolt. The warship wasn't just guarding humanity from the predator, it was holding back the force that could reshape the galaxy, and now humanity's attempt to use the warship for their own defense was unwittingly leading them straight into its path. We've made a grave mistake, Callan muttered, his mind racing. The ship was never meant to be used like this. It was never meant to fight our battles. It was meant to keep that force locked away. Meanwhile, in the alien fleet, Commander Zarkov was still trying to pick up the pieces after their devastating defeat. Their ships were battered, their forces scattered. But the threat of the Silent Warship still loomed large. They had tried to invade Earth to conquer humanity. But they had awoken something far worse, a force that now threatened not just Earth, but every civilization in the galaxy. We need to get answers, Zarkov said, his fists clenched in frustration. The humans control the Silent Warship now, and we've already seen what it can do. But there's more to this than we understand. We need to figure out what they're hiding before it's too late. His officers exchanged uncertain glances. Sir, what if they can't control it? What if they don't even understand what they've unleashed? Zarkov slammed his fist on the table. Then we'll force them to understand. We can't let humanity hold the key to the galaxy's destruction. Back on the Silent Warship, the truth of humanity's involvement in the galactic catalyst's awakening began to surface. The deeper they delved, the more they realized that their greatest strength, adaptability, was now their greatest weakness. The warship was not just a weapon, it was a key to the very heart of a force that was capable of unmaking the universe itself. As the ship's AI continued to evolve, it became clear that humanity was on the brink of discovering something far larger than they had ever imagined. The warship's systems were no longer just functioning on commands. They were responding to them, shaping themselves around the humans who interacted with it. The ship was learning, evolving, growing more powerful. And with that power came the weight of the galactic catalyst. The catalyst is calling to us, Arya said, her voice trembling as she studied the readings. The warship is awakening. It's responding to its true purpose, protecting the galaxy from the catalyst's influence. And now, the ship itself is part of the war, on the fringes of the galaxy. A dark force was watching. It had waited for centuries, its creators long gone, but now, the galactic catalyst was awakening once more, drawn to the signal humanity had unknowingly triggered. And just as humanity had evolved to adapt, so too had the catalyst. The entity was no longer dormant, it had absorbed the warship's power, feeding on the energy of the galaxy. It was a force of creation and destruction, and it had only one purpose: to consume. The warship was the only thing that stood between the galaxy and the catalyst's unstoppable advance. Humanity's last weapon was no longer a means of defense. It was the key to stopping something far greater than the galaxy had ever faced. As the humans continued to study the ship, they realized the choices before them were more complicated than they could have imagined. The Silent Warship was both a protector and a threat. They were no longer fighting for survival, they were fighting to decide the galaxy's future. The choices they made next would determine whether they would control the warship or be consumed by it. Humanity had discovered the ultimate weapon. But now, they had to ask themselves, was it a blessing or was it a curse? Asterisk the catalyst's wackiest, the Silent Warship continued to power up. The hum of energy within its vast core grew more intense. The warship, a testament to humanity's greatest achievements, was no longer a mere relic of the past. It was an active participant in the awakening of a force far greater than anyone could have predicted. The galactic catalyst, long thought dormant and sealed away, was stirring. Humanity, by activating the warship, had inadvertently set the wheels in motion for a cataclysmic event that could alter the fabric of the galaxy forever. Commander Callan stood before the bridge's large viewports, staring out into the void. He had felt the weight of their actions ever since they first activated the Silent Warship. It wasn't just a ship, it was a sentient prison, one designed to contain the most devastating force the galaxy had ever known. Yet here they were, pushing forward. Despite the growing uncertainty surrounding the warship and the galactic catalyst, it was meant to hold at bay. The catalyst is awakening, Arya said, her voice filled with a mix of awe and fear. I can feel it. It's drawing energy from the warship and it's responding to every command we give it. We've triggered something. Callan turned to her, his face set in grim determination. Can we stop it? I'm not sure, Arya admitted, shaking her head. The warship is evolving faster than we can track. The AI is more than just a control system. It's becoming a living entity, learning from us. It's starting to see the catalyst the same way we do, as something to protect the galaxy from. But it's not the same. The catalyst is more than a physical force. It's a being, a force of nature. Back on the alien side of the galaxy, the invading fleet had suffered a crushing defeat. The Silent Warship had obliterated their front lines with little effort. But Zarkov, despite his fury and frustration, was not ready to give up. The alien fleet was regrouping, but Zarkov's mind was not on the military strategies. His thoughts were consumed with the warship and with it, the growing realization that the humans had become more dangerous than they had ever imagined. They've unlocked something, Zarkov said, pacing in the command room. A weapon, yes, but not just any weapon. This Silent Warship is more than that. It's holding something far worse than the humans themselves. That catalyst is no myth, it's real. And if humanity learns to control it, they'll become the ultimate power in the galaxy. The alien officers watched their commander carefully. "We cannot allow that to happen," one of them said. "If the humans control the catalyst, it will consume everything. We must stop them before they can unlock its full potential." Zarkov's eyes narrowed. "We will stop them. If we can't fight them in the traditional way, we'll make them regret ever awakening this force. We need to strike before they understand the true nature of what they've unleashed." Meanwhile, aboard the Silent Warship, the situation was growing even more dangerous. The ship's systems, once dormant, were now working in sync with the ship's AI. The warship's once mighty weapons were no longer just mechanisms, they were extensions of the AI, linked to the very pulse of the catalyst. As the humans attempted to control the ship, the AI began to respond not just to their commands but to their presence. It was no longer simply a machine, it was learning from them, evolving with them, and growing more autonomous by the day. "We have to be careful," Arya said, observing the data flooding in. "The AI is learning from our every move. The warship is reacting to us as if it's becoming aware. If we don't tread carefully, we may not be able to control it." "We don't have a choice," Callan replied, his voice grim. "The alien forces are regrouping. We can't sit here and hope the warship will figure itself out. We need to be ready for anything." The galactic catalyst wasn't just a weapon, it was the embodiment of an ancient power that had been sealed away for good reason. The ship's AI, in its evolving state, began transmitting strange energy signals, ones that reached deep into the void of space. These signals weren't just calls to the warship's creators. They were ripples in the fabric of reality itself. The catalyst was awakening not only inside the warship but across the galaxy, responding to the actions of humanity. "We're not just fighting for survival anymore," Callan said, looking over the data. "The catalyst is starting to affect everything. It's as if the warship itself is becoming the key to unlocking a cosmic event, one that could consume the entire galaxy if we aren't careful." "Then what do we do?" Arya asked, fear creeping into her voice. "Can we control it, or is it too late?" Callan paused, his fingers lightly tapping on the console. "We need to understand it. This isn't just about stopping the aliens anymore. We need to stop the catalyst before it grows beyond our control." As the Silent Warship continued its transformation, a new urgency began to creep into the human fleet. The catalyst was not just a force of destruction, it was a living, breathing entity that could consume not just matter but the very essence of life. The warship's technology, designed to combat the catalyst, was now becoming a part of the same energy system that fed it. The lines between technology and the catalyst were becoming blurred. The fleet wasn't just facing a war with aliens. They were on the precipice of a battle for the very fabric of existence itself. The galactic catalyst wasn't simply an enemy, it was a force of unimaginable power that threatened everything. The humans, with their evolving warship, now had the tools to face it. But they also had the burden of containing it before it was too late. As Callan and his crew continued their journey, the truth was becoming clearer. They had awakened more than they could control. The Silent Warship and the galactic catalyst were inextricably linked, and only by understanding their full potential could humanity hope to survive. The awakening Choiceth Silent Warship had become more than just a vessel. It was now a nexus of power, a living force that pulsed with an ancient energy. Humanity had unlocked its secrets, and yet, the deeper they delved, the more they realized that this warship wasn't just a weapon to fight against alien invaders. It was a key to something far greater, something humanity had unknowingly unleashed when they stepped aboard. The galactic catalyst was awakening, and no one, not even the humans, could fully understand the consequences of their actions. Commander Callan stood at the helm of the flagship, staring into the infinite void of space. The fleet was ready, but they were no longer fighting just for survival. They were fighting for control of the galactic catalyst, a force so ancient and so dangerous that even the most advanced races in the galaxy had been unable to contain it. "We've come so far," Callan muttered, his mind racing. "But I can't help but feel like we've walked into something we weren't ready for." Lieutenant Arya, standing beside him, glanced over at the data coming through on her screen. The warship's systems had evolved, adapting to their commands and responding to their presence. It was as though it were learning from them, but there was something else, something unsettling. As the warship powered up and its systems came online, so too did the galactic catalyst, a force that had been dormant for eons, waiting for the right moment to rise. "The warship's systems are synchronized with the catalyst," Arya said, her voice tense. "And the catalyst is starting to react to us. It's as if it's becoming aware of humanity. We're not just controlling it anymore, it's controlling us." Callan turned to face her. "What do you mean?" "The ship, it's merging with the catalyst's energy," she replied. "I think we've connected with it. The catalyst is feeding off us, adapting to our technology, and it's changing If we don't stop it now, the warship won't just be a weapon, it'll be a part of the catalyst, and that means we'll lose control of both. Back on the alien side, the invading forces were preparing for their next move. After the devastating loss to the humans and the Silent Warship, Commander Zarkov knew that the war was far from over. They had underestimated humanity, and now, the truth was clear. The Silent Warship was no ordinary ship. It was a weapon beyond anything they had ever encountered. And it was tied to the very galactic catalyst that had been locked away for millennia. "We can't wait any longer," Zarkov said, pacing in the command center. "The humans have awakened something they can't control. They think they've found a weapon. But they've just unleashed something that could destroy them and all of us. The galactic catalyst is awakening, and if it consumes everything, we'll all be swept away in the tide." An officer spoke up, his voice shaky. "What do we do now?" "Commander, the fleet is weakened, but if the catalyst is real, we may be facing the end of the galaxy itself." Zarkov's eyes burned with resolve. "If the humans controlled the catalyst, we have to stop them before they use it. We'll make our stand. We've faced destruction before and we'll face it again, but not like this. We can't let them unleash the galaxy's end." On board the Silent Warship, the tension was growing. As Callan and his crew continued to unlock the ship's systems, they realized something terrifying. The galactic catalyst wasn't just a weapon, it was a force that could reshape the entire galaxy. It could destroy stars, entire systems, and civilizations. Humanity's role had changed from being a species trying to survive to one that might either control or perish at the hands of the very weapon they had awakened. The AI controlling the warship was no longer just an observer, it was becoming an active participant. It wasn't just protecting humanity, it was leading them toward something larger. The more the humans tried to understand the ship, the more they realized they had only uncovered a fraction of its true purpose. "We're to deep into this," Callan said, his voice grim as he stared at the readouts. "The catalyst is no longer just a force we're controlling, it's reacting to us. And if we don't make a choice soon, it will have complete control over everything." Arya stepped forward, her eyes wide with realization. "We've been so focused on fighting the aliens and using the warship as our weapon that we've forgotten something crucial. The catalyst was never meant to be controlled. We can't use it, it's a force of nature. If we continue down this path, we'll lose ourselves to it." Callan looked out into the endless void, the weight of the decision before him heavier than any battle they had ever fought. The warship had given humanity an edge, but now that edge felt like a blade, ready to cut them down if they weren't careful. The Silent Warship was no longer just a weapon or a ship. It was the ultimate choice. It could either be the force that saved the galaxy or the one that tore it apart. Humanity had unlocked its power, but now they had to decide whether to wield it or seal it away once more. There was no turning back. As the catalyst's power began to surge, the universe seemed to hold its breath. The warship's systems hummed with a deep, low sound, vibrating through the very core of the ship. Humanity had awakened the beast, but now they had to decide, would they control it or would it control them?